If you've noticed that your body isn't responding the way it used to, if your energy feels drained no matter how much rest you get, if intimacy has started to feel more like a struggle than something you look forward to, I want you to stop blaming age for a moment. Because many men in their 60s and 70s are told that this is just what happens, that the spark fades, the drive weakens, the body slows down, and there's nothing you can do about it. But that's simply not the full story. In fact, in most cases, it's not about aging at all. It's about missing something simple that your body used to get naturally, but no longer does in the same way. 3 essential vitamins that quietly hold the keys to circulation, stamina, and hormones. 3 vitamins that can be the difference between dragging yourself through the day and actually feeling alive again. I've spent decades working with men who felt like they were slipping away from themselves. Not because of a lack of willpower, not because they didn't care about their health, but because no one ever explained how crucial these nutrients are for male vitality. And the truth is, most doctors never bring them up. They jump straight to prescriptions or dismiss the concerns as just getting older. But I can tell you from sitting across from thousands of men, many of whom thought their best days were behind them, that when you correct these deficiencies, the results can be dramatic. Not only for performance in the bedroom, but for energy, clarity, mood, and confidence. Let's start with the first one, a vitamin you may have heard about but never realized was directly tied to your strength as a man. Vitamin D, often called the sunshine vitamin, but for men over 60, it's better known as the circulation booster, because this nutrient directly affects the way blood flows through your body, including where it matters most. Without enough vitamin D, your body struggles to produce nitric oxide, and nitric oxide is the signal your blood vessels need to open up and allow oxygen-rich blood to move freely. Without it, even if you want to perform, your body doesn't fully respond. I once met a man in his late 60s who told me he hadn't felt like himself for years. He was still married, still deeply in love with his wife, but he felt embarrassed that his body wasn't cooperating. He assumed it was permanent, that his masculinity was slipping away for good, but after checking his vitamin D levels, we realized he was severely deficient. And within a few weeks of correcting it, his energy lifted, his mood improved, and intimacy stopped being a source of frustration. That's how powerful vitamin D can be. It's not just a bone vitamin, it's a performance vitamin. It sets the foundation for how your blood vessels respond. And as you age, levels naturally decline, because your skin doesn't produce it from sunlight as efficiently as it used to. Now, you might think, well, I get some sun, I drink milk, isn't that enough? But here's the thing, more than 40% of older adults in the United States are deficient, and many don't even realize it. They just chalk up their fatigue, mood swings, or low drive to getting older. But when you give your body enough vitamin D, ideally vitamin D3, you create the spark that circulation depends on. That spark doesn't just help in the bedroom, it also helps with stamina during the day, keeping your energy steady instead of crashing in the afternoon. But circulation is only one piece of the puzzle, because even if blood is flowing well, your body still needs the fuel to keep moving, thinking, and responding. And that's where the second vitamin comes in, vitamin B12, the energy generator. If you've ever felt like you sleep enough hours but still wake up tired, if your brain feels foggy even when you're eating right, or if you find yourself running out of gas halfway through the day, vitamin B12 may be the missing piece. This nutrient is essential for turning the food you eat into actual usable energy. Without it, your body's like a car running on fumes. No matter how much fuel you put in, it just sputters. B12 is also crucial for creating red blood cells, the cells that carry oxygen to your muscles, your brain, and your reproductive organs. So when levels are low, you don't just feel physically weak, you feel mentally drained, disconnected, and less like yourself. I remember a retired firefighter in his 70s who came to me saying he felt like a shadow of the man he used to be. He still ate meat, still exercised, still tried to keep active, but he couldn't shake the fatigue, the lack of focus, or the disinterest in intimacy. When we checked, his B12 levels were far below normal. And that's actually common, because as men age, the stomach loses its ability to absorb B12 from food. So even if you're eating steak and eggs, it might not be enough. The body just doesn't take it in. Once we corrected his levels with a high-quality supplement, within weeks he reported feeling awake again, laughing with his wife, and actually looking forward to being intimate again. This isn't magic, it's biology, and it shows how something as small as a vitamin can make a massive difference in how alive you feel. But before we get into the third vitamin, I want to pause for a moment, because this isn't just about sex. This is about identity. When men lose energy, when they lose confidence in their ability to respond, they don't just suffer physically, they pull away emotionally, and that distance can damage relationships more than anything. Correcting deficiencies restores more than function. It restores connection, and that's why this information is so important. The third vitamin, vitamin E, often known for skin or fertility, is actually one of the most powerful defenders of male health over 60. It's an antioxidant, which means it protects your blood vessels, your hormones, and your reproductive organs from silent damage, things like oxidative stress and chronic inflammation. These aren't always visible, but they slowly erode circulation and lower testosterone over time. Vitamin E works like a shield, keeping blood vessels flexible and helping your body continue producing testosterone naturally. And without testosterone, drive, motivation, and mood all take a hit. Vitamin E is sometimes called the fertility vitamin, but its influence goes far beyond reproduction. For men over 60, it becomes one of the pillars of vitality. Think about it this way. Your blood vessels are like highways, carrying oxygen, nutrients, and hormones to every part of your body. If those highways become stiff, narrow, or damaged, traffic slows, and that includes blood flow to the organs that define your masculinity. Vitamin E keeps those highways flexible and strong. It reduces the silent inflammation that builds with age, and it helps testosterone stay at levels that support not only performance, but mood, motivation, and confidence. I once worked with a retired pilot in his early 70s who told me he felt like he was fading. Not because of any major illness, but because his drive was slipping, his recovery was slow, and he didn't feel like the man he once was. He ate well, exercised, even took a few supplements, but he was missing vitamin E. Once we corrected it, his words were, "Doc, I feel like my edge is back." And that's the key. Vitamin E helps you regain that edge by reducing the hidden damage that chips away at performance over the years.
Now, here's where things get interesting. Each of these vitamins on their own can make a difference, but together they create something even more powerful. I call it the vitality triangle: circulation, energy, and hormonal support working in harmony. Vitamin D opens up the pathways. Vitamin B12 fuels the system with oxygen and energy. And vitamin E protects and strengthens the structures that carry it all. Alone, each is useful, but together they amplify each other, creating a ripple effect throughout your body. I've seen men who started with one supplement feel a little better, then add a second and feel stronger. But when they consistently used all three, that's when they started to feel like themselves again. One man in his late 60s told me, "I didn't just feel better physically, I felt more connected to my wife, more patient with my grandkids, more confident when I walked into a room." That's the kind of whole life change this combination can trigger. But let me warn you, most men never experience these benefits, not because the vitamins don't work, but because of one very common mistake. And if you're not careful, you might be making it too. The mistake is assuming that all supplements are created equal. They're not. Walk into any store and you'll see dozens of bottles with the same label: vitamin D, vitamin B12, vitamin E. But the quality and form inside those bottles make all the difference. Take B12, for example. Many cheaper supplements use cyanocobalamin, a synthetic form that older bodies often struggle to convert into something usable. So you swallow the pill, but your body barely absorbs it. What you actually want is methylcobalamin, the active form that your body can immediately put to work. The same goes for vitamin D. Some products use D2, which is cheaper to manufacture but far less effective than D3. And with vitamin E, synthetic versions often miss the full spectrum of compounds your body relies on, leaving you with only partial benefits. Another mistake is inconsistency. I can't tell you how many men tell me they take vitamins whenever they remember, maybe a couple times a week. That's not enough. Your body doesn't work in bursts, it works in rhythms. It needs steady, consistent support to rebuild energy, restore circulation, and maintain hormones. Taking a pill here and there won't undo years of decline, but giving your body the right forms of these nutrients every single day builds a foundation that compounds over time. I once had a man in his 70s come into my office with a grocery bag full of discount supplements, frustrated because after months of effort, he still felt tired, foggy, and disconnected from his wife. He was doing the right thing with the wrong tools. Once he switched to higher quality forms and started taking them daily with meals, the difference was night and day. Within weeks, he felt sharper, more energized, and more confident in his intimacy. The supplements hadn't failed him before. He just wasn't getting the right ones in the right way. So how do you actually put this knowledge into action? How do you make these 3 vitamins part of your life without turning it into a complicated project? The answer is simpler than you might think. Over the years, I've guided countless men into what I call the daily vitality routine. It's not extreme, it doesn't require dozens of pills or strict diets. It's a straightforward rhythm you can follow that delivers real results. It starts first thing in the morning with hydration, a full glass of water to wake up your system, followed by a high-quality B12 supplement taken with a protein-rich breakfast. Protein helps absorption and sets the tone for stable energy throughout the day. After breakfast, instead of diving straight into chores or screens, take a short walk outside. Just 15 or 20 minutes of sunlight helps your body naturally produce vitamin D, and it gets your blood moving. If the weather doesn't cooperate or it's winter, a vitamin D3 supplement with your meal covers the gap. At lunch, add a source of vitamin E through food. A handful of almonds, a sprinkle of sunflower seeds, or a drizzle of olive oil over a salad. If your diet doesn't reliably include these, a natural vitamin E supplement fills in. That's it. 3 deliberate actions, done consistently, can completely change how you feel. I had a former carpenter in his mid-60s follow this exact rhythm. Within a month, he told me his energy had climbed, his sleep improved, and his interest in intimacy returned. More importantly, he said he felt grounded again, not like a younger version of himself, but like the man he always believed he was supposed to be. That's the power of consistency with the right nutrients. And this brings me to something that many men hesitate to admit, but it's important. When you've been dealing with low energy, weak circulation, or fading drive for years, it's easy to start believing the story that it's too late. That belief alone can become heavier than the symptoms themselves. But I've seen men well into their 70s and 80s make changes that gave them a new sense of life. Not because they found a miracle, but because they gave their bodies the building blocks they were missing all along. So as we continue, I want to dig deeper into what really happens when these vitamins start to work together in your system and why they can create changes that no prescription can replicate, not just for your body, but for your confidence, your relationships, and your sense of purpose as a man. When these 3 vitamins begin to work together, something shifts in your body that you can actually feel. It doesn't happen overnight. It's not like flipping a light switch, but it builds week after week until one day you realize you're not dragging through the morning anymore. You're not looking for that extra cup of coffee just to stay awake, and you're not dreading the moment when your partner wants intimacy. Instead, you feel steady, present, and able to respond. That shift is the vitality triangle: circulation plus energy plus hormonal support working as one system. Let me explain in plain language. What happens is vitamin D acts as the spark. It helps your blood vessels open up and stay elastic so oxygen and nutrients can reach where they need to go. Vitamin B12 is the fuel. It ensures your body actually has energy to move that blood and power your muscles and brain. And vitamin E is the shield. It protects those blood vessels from damage and supports the production of testosterone, the hormone that drives your energy, motivation, and masculinity. Together, they're like a well-oiled engine, the spark plug, the fuel, and the protective oil that keeps everything running smoothly. I had a patient, a retired teacher named Walter, who started on vitamin D alone and noticed some improvement, then added B12 and felt more awake, but it wasn't until he added vitamin E that he came back to my office grinning and said, "Doc, I feel like I've got a new engine." That's the synergy we're talking about. You don't just get one benefit, you get a ripple effect. Circulation supports energy. Energy supports hormones, and hormones support mood and drive. It all feeds into each other. Now, here's where many men go wrong. They think if a little is good, then a lot must be better. So they start mega-dosing vitamins hoping for faster results. That's a mistake. Your body doesn't work that way. Too much of certain nutrients can actually backfire. The key isn't maximum, it's balance. For example, vitamin D in reasonable doses supports circulation, but taking huge amounts can create calcium buildup in the wrong places. Vitamin E in natural amounts protects your vessels, but overdoing synthetic forms can thin your blood too much. What you want is steady, balanced support, not extremes. That's why I always remind men the goal isn't to chase some magical pill or massive dose. It's to build a foundation that works with your body every single day. Think of it like exercise. Doing one workout doesn't transform you, but consistent, smart exercise over months and years makes you strong and resilient. The same is true here. Small daily actions, compounded over time, restore vitality in a way that sticks. Another important point is food. Supplements are helpful, sometimes essential, but food sources give your body nutrients in their most natural form. Salmon, tuna, and sardines provide vitamin D along with healthy fats that support testosterone. Eggs, beef, and dairy offer B12 in a form your body recognizes. Almonds, sunflower seeds, spinach, and olive oil give you vitamin E along with antioxidants and minerals that protect your cells. When you combine smart eating with quality supplementation, you cover both bases, giving your body what it needs today and what it needs long term.
Let me share another story. A man named James, a retired small business owner, came to me saying he just didn't feel like himself. His words were, "I'm doing all the right things, but I don't have the drive to keep up with my wife or my hobbies. I feel flat." He wasn't depressed, he wasn't lazy, he was simply missing pieces of the puzzle. We adjusted his diet to include more vitamin-rich foods, paired them with targeted supplements, and within 2 months, he described feeling not only stronger, but sharper, more confident, and more connected to his wife. His edge returned, not because of a radical change, but because of the right foundation. And let's be clear, this isn't only about the bedroom. When circulation improves, you're more capable in daily life. You can walk further, climb stairs without getting winded, or play with your grandchildren without feeling exhausted. When energy improves, you're less irritable, more focused, and more engaged with the people you love. When hormones balance, you're motivated, you have purpose, you carry yourself with confidence. That's what these vitamins restore, the parts of life that make it meaningful. Now, I know some men might be skeptical, thinking, "I've tried vitamins before and nothing changed." That skepticism is fair, but most of the time, it comes down to two issues. Either the form and quality were poor, or the consistency wasn't there. I've lost count of how many times men come in with cheap multivitamins that contain the bare minimum of nutrients, often in forms the body can barely use, or they admit they take them when they remember. That's not a recipe for change. Imagine you're building a house, and every day you either bring weak, broken bricks or forget to bring bricks at all. Will that house ever be built? No. But if every day you show up with strong, solid bricks and place them consistently, before long the house is standing tall. That's how nutrients work. They are the bricks of your biology. And if you give your body strong bricks every day, the structure of your health improves. Another angle many men overlook is mindset. When symptoms show up, fatigue, low drive, weaker performance, they often assume it's final. They withdraw, accept decline as inevitable, and stop seeking solutions. That mindset alone can accelerate the slide. But when you learn that much of it comes down to correctable deficiencies, you regain a sense of control. And that control is powerful. It shifts you from resignation to action. You no longer see yourself as a man whose best years are gone, but as a man who still has plenty of fuel in the tank, as long as you take care of the engine. In the next section, I want to go even deeper into the daily routine, laying out a practical step-by-step plan that any man over 60 can follow without hassle, a routine that builds circulation, energy, and hormones in balance, so you not only add years to your life, but life to your years. Let's walk through what a real vitality routine looks like. Not something complicated, not something that requires dozens of bottles on your counter or strict diets that you can't stick to, but a simple, repeatable rhythm that fits into daily life. Because here's the truth, most men don't need more complexity. They need clarity. And once you know the right steps, you can build them into your routine almost effortlessly. The first step is morning hydration. Before the coffee, before the news, start your day with a full glass of water. After hours of sleep, your body's dehydrated, and dehydration alone can sap your energy and make circulation sluggish. That single glass kickstarts your system. With that water, take your vitamin B12, preferably in methylcobalamin form. Pair it with breakfast that includes protein, something like eggs, yogurt, or lean meat. Why? Because protein helps stabilize blood sugar, which keeps your energy steady, and it creates the best environment for B12 absorption. Step 2 is movement and sunlight. After breakfast, step outside, even for just 15 minutes. That sunlight signals your body to produce vitamin D. It wakes up your circadian rhythm, and it literally tells your biology it's time to be alert. If you live in a place with long winters or spend much of your day indoors, a vitamin D3 supplement at breakfast is your backup plan. The goal isn't to rely on the weather, it's to make sure your body always gets what it needs. Step 3 happens around lunch. This is when you bring in vitamin E, either from food or from a supplement. A handful of almonds or sunflower seeds, a salad with olive oil, or a serving of spinach covers it beautifully. If you're not consistent with those foods, a natural vitamin E capsule makes sure you don't miss. What you're doing here is layering protection on top of circulation and energy, reinforcing your system so the progress you've made doesn't get undone by silent inflammation. Those 3 steps, B12 with breakfast, vitamin D from sunlight or a supplement, and vitamin E with lunch, form the core of your daily rhythm. They don't take hours, they don't require complicated planning, they just require consistency. And the men who follow this simple structure often come back after a month or two saying the same thing. I feel like myself again. Let me give you an example. Frank, a retired carpenter in his mid-60s, had been struggling with fatigue, poor sleep, and fading confidence. We built his routine exactly as I described. Within a month, he was waking up clearer, playing longer with his grandkids, and feeling reconnected with his wife. He told me, it wasn't dramatic, it was steady. Each week, I felt a little stronger, a little more alive, until one day I realized I wasn't thinking about my problems anymore. I was just living again. That's the kind of change a steady routine can create.
Now, let's address something important. Many men ask, how long before I notice results? The answer varies. Some feel a lift in energy within weeks, others take a couple months before the full benefits show. The timeline depends on how depleted your body is when you start, but the direction is the same. Every day you provide your body with what it's been missing, you're moving closer to balance. Here's another point men often overlook: sleep. Without good sleep, your body can't repair itself, can't regulate hormones, and can't fully use the nutrients you give it. That's why part of this routine includes setting yourself up for rest. The morning sunlight we talked about, that doesn't just wake you up. It also programs your brain to release melatonin later at night, making it easier to fall asleep naturally. Combine that with consistent nutrients and light evening movement like a walk after dinner, and you create the conditions for deep, restorative sleep. When you sleep better, testosterone rises naturally, recovery speeds up, and your mood evens out. It's all connected. You see, men often separate these issues. They think circulation, energy, hormones, sleep, mood are all different problems. In reality, they're threads of the same fabric. Pull on one and the others move. That's why when you correct something as simple as a vitamin deficiency, you see improvements in areas you didn't even expect. I once worked with a man named Gerald in his 70s who felt exhausted no matter what he did. He brought a bag full of cheap supplements he'd been taking without results. After we switched him to the right forms of D, B12, and E and built them into his meals, within a month, he wasn't just feeling more energetic during the day, he was also sleeping through the night for the first time in years. His words were, "Doc, I wake up rested. I didn't realize how long it's been since I felt that way." That's what happens when you give your body what it's been asking for. Now let's talk about the bigger picture. This isn't about chasing youth. It's about strengthening the man you are today. Too many men think vitality means pretending to be 30 again. That's not the goal. The goal is to feel strong, confident, and connected in the life you have now. To wake up with purpose, to engage with your partner fully, to enjoy the moments you've worked hard to create. These vitamins are not about reversing time. They're about making the time you have now richer and more fulfilling. In the next section, I want to address a powerful question many men secretly carry. Is it too late? Too late to feel alive, too late to enjoy intimacy, too late to regain strength? The answer may surprise you, and it's one of the most important truths I've learned in over 30 years of working with men. Let's face it, the question on many men's minds, though not always spoken out loud, is this: am I too late? Did I miss my chance to feel strong, confident, and fully alive again? And I want to tell you directly, the answer is no, not even close. I've worked with men in their 60s, 70s, even 80s, men who thought their best years were behind them. They walked into my office tired, disconnected, and unsure of what the future held. But with the right guidance, the right rhythm, and the right nutrients, I watched them come alive again. Not by chasing the past, but by stepping into a stronger version of themselves in the present. Remember what we've talked about: 3 powerful allies working together like a team. Vitamin D, the circulation booster that opens your blood vessels and keeps blood moving where it counts. Vitamin B12, the natural energy generator that fuels your muscles, brain, and stamina. And vitamin E, the protector that defends your heart, nourishes your hormones, and keeps your body resilient. On their own, they each bring benefits, but when you weave them into your daily life, they create a synergy, a balance that transforms how you feel. Think of it this way: circulation gives you strength in the moment. Energy keeps you moving through the day, and hormones restore your drive and confidence. Together, they form the core of male vitality. When any one of them is weak, the whole system feels off. But when all 3 are supported, your body remembers what it's capable of. And this isn't just about the physical changes. Yes, you'll notice more stamina, clearer thinking, better sleep, and improved performance. But what really matters is the confidence that comes back. That quiet assurance in how you carry yourself, the way you show up for your partner, your family, your work, your own goals. That's the kind of change that ripples out into every part of life. Now, I know some men hesitate because they've tried before and felt disappointed. Maybe they bought cheap vitamins from the store, maybe they were inconsistent, maybe they didn't realize how important quality and form really are. That's not failure, that's just missing the right information. Once you correct that, the results are often far better than expected. Another hesitation I hear is, I don't want a complicated plan. I don't want to feel like my life revolves around pills. And I get that, which is why the daily routine we outlined is so simple. A glass of water and B12 in the morning with breakfast, sunlight or D3 during the day, vitamin E with lunch or supplement if needed. That's it. Small steps done consistently that stack up into big results. Here's something else important: mindset. The men who thrive the most are the ones who decide they're still in control of their health. They don't throw up their hands and say, "This is just aging." They say, "I may not be 25 anymore, but I can still live with strength, purpose, and connection." That shift in thinking alone can make the difference between decline and renewal. Let me share one last story. A man named Robert came to me at 71. He was convinced his energy was gone for good. He had stopped traveling with his wife because he felt too tired, stopped going to social events because he felt disconnected, and he admitted their intimacy had all but faded. We started him on the exact framework we've been discussing. Within 3 months, not only was he traveling again, but he told me his wife had whispered to him one evening, "I feel like I got my husband back." That moment meant more to him than anything. It wasn't about the vitamins, it was about what they gave him back: his confidence, his presence, his relationship. And that's what I want for every man listening to this. Not just numbers on a blood test, not just a little extra energy, but the feeling of being fully alive, fully present, fully yourself again. So here's the bottom line. It is not too late. Not to restore strength, not to rebuild intimacy, not to reconnect with the man you know you are. The path isn't complicated, it's consistent.
Give your body the nutrients it's been quietly asking for, create a daily rhythm you can stick with, and remind yourself every day that you're still in control of your health. You've already taken the first step by listening this far. That alone shows you care, that you're willing to invest in yourself, and that you're not settling for decline. The next step is yours to take. You can act on what you've learned, put it into practice, and experience the difference for yourself. And when you do, don't be surprised if one morning you wake up, look in the mirror, and realize you're not just surviving, you're living again, fully, boldly, without apology. That's the truth I've seen proven over and over again. And it's the truth I want you to hold on to as you move forward. Take care of yourself, build your rhythm, and remember, your best years aren't behind you. They can still be ahead if you choose to make them.